Hey, Wealth Warriors. Are you ready to redefine wealth and master your money mindset? Welcome to Women of Wealth. I'm your Gen X host, Holly Woods Gray.
And I'm your millennial host, Ali Ramo.
Today we have a special treat. We have two guests, and I'm thrilled to welcome Beverley Crane to the Women of Wealth podcast. Beverley is an accomplished insurance professional who has built her career around helping families prepare for the unexpected through final expense planning. With her warm, compassionate approach, she makes difficult conversations easier and ensures that families are financially protected during their life's most challenging times.
Also, we're excited to have Amanda Frendberg, an expert in final expense and Medicare markets and a passionate advocate for seniors navigating those choices. Amanda has built her reputation on guiding clients through final expense and Medicare decisions with clarity and care, helping them feel confident and supported.
Amanda and Beverley are both contributing best-selling authors in Women Insurance Producers Unfiltered Voices with me. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
All right, well, let's start off just getting to know you a little bit more. Can each of you share a little bit about your background and what led you to specialize in final expense and Medicare planning? Beverley, why don't you kick us off?
My parents brought us to America when I was a teenager. So I was born in the UK and I came to America when I was a teenager. That was a hard time, but but I've been working my whole life, been successful at what I've done. No matter managing, I started in the bottom of the company and actually worked my way up to a store director, and I managed a grocery store for many years. And this fell into me when I prayed about my latter years in life. My husband was 30 years deputy sheriff, getting ready to retire. I just prayed about, where do you want me in my latter years? That's over 55. And so I was blessed to move to South Carolina. And that's how I ended up here and meeting Andrew Everhart, which is in the book, in order that led me to where God had me planned. And that was Final Expenses.
Yeah, so I grew up in West Virginia. I lived in North Carolina for almost 10 years. I was on the property and at like fire and water damage restoration side of insurance. So property claim side, right? Um, I ended up, my whole life crashed down around me, kind of my personal and professional life both at the same time around COVID. And so I ended up moving back to West Virginia. And that's when one of my friends reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in an opportunity in insurance?" And I was like, heck yeah, I can't find a job to save my life. So yes, please give me a job. And so I've been doing the life insurance and I just added Medicare last year ever since. So I've been excited to be in the industry, and I just love this career. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, ladies. It looks like you both have two pretty different paths. Amanda, I can relate to you and not and kind of it suddenly someone offering something and you're going with it. Sure. Beverley, can you tell us a little bit of the why behind why you chose final expense, insurance, and Medicare? They can be tough topics with families, especially like seniors, to be talking about. So what inspires you to serve in that space?
My why, as being it was something that was given to me, I say this path was chosen. I come from a big family. And I saw my parents personally pass without any coverage. No planning. We didn't talk about it. They just taught us to be self-sufficient, work, take care of your family. So that, as a young background, as a child, that's what I soared with. And I really didn't think about mom and pops, and we never talked about it. Every single management job I had, I always had coverage. So it was never a topic we talked at the table as a family. So the approach to clients, I approach them as people first, not as a client, just people first. And that's how the why behind me. And I'm more empathetic because I have actually walked in the shoes of a lot of clients that it's happened to. And I listen very much so because I came from the same where my parents had nothing. So I know we had to gear into and be empathetic more towards them.
Absolutely. I think it's a common thing as Gen Xers that, our parents, we're kind of we're in that sandwich generation a little bit. Some of us are still taking care of kids and some people are taking care of their parents, or like me, both of my parents are deceased. So like we didn't talk about it. It's just something we didn't talk about. I really do admire the younger generation because they talk more about stuff. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing always yet. The jury's still out. But I do love the fact that more conversations are happening. These topics are becoming a little bit more mainstream, but you're still going to find the seniors who really don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about their mortality. They don't want to talk about that. So Amanda, how about you? What's a little bit behind your why?
Well, I'm not sure it's a why thing necessarily, but I think something that I'm really good at as far as working with the seniors is just kind of taking control and doing things for them. So a lot of times seniors are not tech savvy, right? They're not comfortable with using phones or iPads or, different pieces of technology. And so I think something that I'm really good at is just taking control and saying, hey, I'm going to fix that for you. And being able to explain it in a way that they can really understand, and just give them the peace of mind that someone that knows what they're doing is able to help them with it. So I think that's something that I've been able to bring to the table as far as helping the seniors.
That's awesome. I worked at Best Buy a long time ago in an area that was predominantly seniors, and so I can totally understand that walking through, and it has translated when we, like Beverly said, when we don't think of our clients as clients and you almost think of them as family or friends. It's really easy to just sit with them and meet them right where they are and whatever needs they have.
Mhm.
What are some common misconceptions people have around final expense? Let's
It's
start with you, Beverly.
the misconception is too expensive. The first thing I hear is way out of my budget. It's expensive. And sometimes it's a scam. That's a misconception. But real information is given in the correct manner is the key. And I think that's what me and Amanda do, is giving you the correct information. And now they feel at ease, and it's not talking in big letters, big jargon. It's talking like family. And
Yeah.
don't speak at them, speak with them. That's, I think, the big misconception, having someone who cares more for them than that.
And I want to add, so final expense is kind of an industry term. So for those who are listening, can you break down what exactly final expense means or is?
I like to say final expenses, when the time comes and God calls you home, your family will never have to do a GoFundMe, and at least they have some coverage to take care of the cremation or burial or whatever you would like. And that is final expenses at the end of your life.
I think that's really important to break it down. So, Amanda, can you talk about some of the things that people want to, when they want to get final expense, because there is a point where it's too late, right? So if they're too, like if they wait too long, I have this question a lot with life insurance because we sell a lot of life insurance, and, people that are older will come in, they might not have, they might get like an offer from their bank or whatever, and so what are some of those facts around like when the right time is? Not necessarily, I mean, Beverly covered the misconceptions. What are some of those disqualifiers that people wait too long and then they're not qualified for?
I would say the biggest thing is being on too many medications, right? It's a lot of times it's not just one health condition that knocks people out of being eligible to get immediate coverage. A lot of times it's that combination, right? They have diabetes and neuropathy, and then they have COPD, and then they had a heart attack, and they have all of these things going on. A big combination. It's not just one thing. And so I think things end up just snowballing for people over time. And then they put it off and they put it off. And that was actually what I had planned on talking about, is that's a misconception, is that you can do it later. You can't do it later. You need to take care of it as soon as possible. I would highly recommend that everyone get a children's whole life policy locked in on their kids. as soon as possible, because that's going to be the most cost-effective way to do it. But also have that locked in for life where they don't have to worry about qualifying health-wise. Same goes for Medicare, right? With Medicare, people think, oh, I can do it later. I can figure it out later. And then they turn 65 and then they're 2 years in. And then they realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to have penalties because I didn't take care of things. So I would say that the biggest thing is to just get with someone and figure it out ahead of time. Even if you're talking to someone too soon, what you think is too soon, then it's not going to be too soon. It's going to be better in the long run.
Yeah, it's never too soon in our industry, right? It's never too soon to start talking about these things. What is it for final expense? What is the average amount you would say that somebody needs for final expense? Amanda?
I mean, usually between 10 and 20,000 in just whole life coverage. Some folks want to have more where they're leaving, money behind for their family members. But as far as a burial goes, between 10 to 20,000 is going to be the average funeral cost right now.
Is that about the same for you, Beverly? Across the country, you think that's about the same?
I remind people I'm licensed in 8 states. Every state is actually different. My father was in Maryland, so his funeral actually cost $20,000, and that was just a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. So 2 years ago. But in South Carolina, you can bury someone from 12,000 and up at the same time. So state to state does, but I do say an average of 10 to 20 for a funeral. So if I had 20, it would have been paid for no matter what state I was located.
Yeah, so I love the advice about helping people get it the sooner the better. My son got life insurance when he was 17 days old. So, that was the rule for National Life Group. So I'm like, okay, 17 days, let's get that policy on it. Because you never know. Like, back then, whenever I first started in the industry, autism wasn't a automatic, let's wait until they're 12, But you never know what's going to happen over your course of your child's life. I mean, I have a best friend whose son had a brain aneurysm when he was 8 years old, and he's probably never going to be eligible. He made it through. He's fine for the most part. He does have some seizures and all that kind of stuff that they've already been able to handle quite a bit. But I don't know if he'll ever be eligible for life insurance, So it's like really, really talking about these types of things before they happen is very important. For my husband and I, we sat down with somebody and we actually interviewed her too. She works at a funeral home, and like the price of going through the funeral planning expenses in advance, like now when we did it, was way less expensive than doing it when you're in an emergency, right? Yes. And I can guarantee you when we buried my father, I was 21 years old, so I had no idea about this stuff. But when we buried him, there's no way he would have ever let us spend that much money on a casket had he done some planning himself, He was one of those guys like, just throw me in the hole and put my bottom up so everybody can kiss it goodbye. You know what I mean? Like that was his mindset on it. And here he is in a $6,000 casket. So yeah, it is being able to mainstream some of these conversations, not just with the people that we're working with, but also with family members or other people's family members is really, really important.
And all right. One thing I'd like to add there, Holly. So I just recently had this happen. It was a client that his son actually passed away at 32 years old. And I think a lot of times, even people maybe in their 30s or 40s just don't think about life insurance. They think they're good because they have coverage through work. And so that's why I just really say that it needs to be something that you lock in just early, even if it's just a $20,000 whole life, because this 32-year-old, he passed away. He was working and then he wasn't because he was so sick. He had become ill and he was hospitalized. And then he ended up losing all of his benefits where he worked at the hospital because he had been so sick and been hospitalized. And so they didn't have anything. So they paid $15,000 for this funeral for this 32-year-old. And so I would just highly recommend that anyone, go ahead and everyone go ahead and lock in something for every family member.
Yeah, well, that was going to lead me to my next question, some real life impact. So that's one story. Beverly, do you have a story that you like to share about it? Because, final expense doesn't mean you're going to be old necessarily, right?
That is correct. I have one where on Saturdays in the summer, I literally go out and knock doors for 4 hours because people aren't home all the time in the week. And in the fall, my son is a football coach, so Saturdays are for my football. But I knocked on this gentleman's door, and he was so nice. He let me in, and the first thing he said was, "I'm good." I said, "That's great. It makes my job easier." And we went on to do the presentation, and he actually had a plan. He was only 58 years old, but it was a 2 year wait. He had no clue. But a 2 year wait, that means it wasn't day one coverage. That means in the event he should pass, all his wife would get back was $100 times 10 months and 10%. Well, what impacted me the most is when we went over this, I got him a day one coverage because there was nothing wrong with him. He took one medication. I got him a day one coverage. And then, beknownst to me, 6 months later, I got a call from his wife. He got dementia. Onset dementia. So within 8 months, he had passed.
Wow.
And his wife, probably every 3 months, sends me a text and always says, "Thank you." Because now that he had the day one coverage, that was an impact to me. In meaning, if I did not decide to go out that Saturday, maybe he would have passed away with a 2 year wait. So that impacts me in itself, and it impacted his family on that situation. And just one quick one recently, a gentleman had suffered cancer. And we have great companies out there. They ask you about 2 years, but I actually stated to him, you can be in a 2 year wait, but once you hit 2 years and 2 months, the best thing to do is get a day one coverage. Well, I followed up 2 years, 2 months, got him that day one coverage. Unfortunately, 3 months later, God called him home, but the insurance company paid out because he was clean 2 years and 2 months. And that's what my motto is: 2 years and 2 months, I'll come back and follow up. So that to me impacts me very much, how we can help someone not be in that situation anymore.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
That
that
gave me
early onset Alzheimer's, I have some experience with that as well. And it's really sad how quickly that can take somebody's life. Not to mention how hard it is on the family for the time that they're going through it, the individuals going through it as well. Go ahead, Allie.
I was just saying that gave me the chills. I love and appreciate, as someone young and new-ish in insurance, I always take these stories and take them out in the field with me, and always learn from them. And I mean, there's someone on our team as well who was talking to a husband and wife on a Friday about life insurance, and their appointment had been over 2 hours, I believe, and they had allotted an hour, and she said, I'll come back on Monday and we'll do the life insurance application." Well, the husband passed away on Saturday. He had a heart attack and died. So it's
Ugh.
crazy that these stories, and I take that to my clients and I say, if you're thinking about life insurance, like why are you not just applying for it now? What do you got to think about
Yeah.
further? So thank you for sharing, Beverly. Amanda, is there an real life impact story that you'd love to share?
Really, that was my story there. That was a negative impact, I guess, because I had written the husband and wife in that situation, but the 32-year-old son, he did not have any coverage that he owned or that they owned. And so maybe that was something that I don't even remember if I brought it up to them. I probably did. People tend to just not want to talk about that. It's, "Oh, I have coverage through work. Oh, I'm good. I have life insurance through work." But really, in reality, they don't, because if anything happens with their health, it's just, they're going to lose their coverage and they're not going to be covered. And so I had actually originally written that couple 2.5 years ago. So I don't remember the conversation exactly, but I wish that I had, ended up writing something on the sun.
Yeah, for sure. I was just meeting with a lady today. We had previously been talking about getting her granddaughter life insurance. And then today she was like, her other grandparents are really wealthy. He was a CEO for a water company. And, I think she's set. Like, what's the point of having this? And I reminded her of, she's 6 years old. She's in perfect health, but you don't know what her future is going to be. And do you know if her grandparents are providing her life insurance? Do you know what coverage she has for the rest of her life? Her daughters are uninsurable, and they're in their 20s and 30s due to other things. And so you look at them like you don't know what you're. So why don't you give that opportunity to your granddaughter now, while she's still young and healthy? It doesn't have to be $1 million policy, but just something so she's got coverage for her lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to turn the conversation a little bit, I want to talk to you guys about just the industry in general. What kind of advice do you have for women who maybe are just starting in their career or maybe need to be rejuvenated? They've been in insurance for a while. What is there any specific advice you'd have for them?
I'm going to say stay the course. A lot of times we want to go off course, but if we look back on what we've done with other clients, and no matter how hard the road comes, I think we need to stay the course, because there are people out there who need us. And be direct and mindful in the business decisions. I think sometimes we go over this way, but there are decisions we know maybe not in the right directions, but that's what we need to do. And it's not an option. No is not an option. I have a child that had a learning disability. Can't was never an option in a vocabulary speech, but he was not given that. They told him that he couldn't make college. And I just says, incorrect. He's not your child. He's not my child. He belongs to God. My son has a master's degree, graduated summa cum laude, 4.0. Don't listen to what people tell you. Stay the course that you believe.
Absolutely. I love that.
For someone that's just starting in the industry, I would say find someone who's very successful at this that can help you get where you're wanting to go. If someone's out there and they're just starting in the industry and they have not found the type of person that they want to follow, then I would recommend, getting online on the Women Insurance Producers Unfiltered group. And that's a great resource to try to find what you're looking for. But I would find someone that you can, trust and be inspired by, to follow and learn from. I think that's the biggest thing as far as being successful when it comes to being in the industry for a while and maybe needs a little something to keep them going. I would say the biggest thing with that is just getting around people who keep that fire burning for you. Getting around Beverly and being friends with her is one of the best things for me. I will just call her and, we chit chat, and we went to Nashville together, roomed together there. So it's just a matter of getting around the right people who are going to be uplifting and positive influences in your life, whether that be someone that is, in your upline or not. Just getting around the right people is the main thing.
Yeah, Amanda, why don't you share a little bit about that story between you and Beverly? Because you guys are with the same company, the same independent marketing organization. And how did you two connect? Because you're not on each other's teams.
So Beverly, do you want to tell her, like, maybe the first time that we actually met? Do you remember that day?
We were over Josh's house. Go ahead. You go ahead and take it.
So we have conference calls every day, right? So we just call into the conference calls and, just learn from each other, but we can't really see each other. And so, of course, I was Facebook stalking all of these people, and, she's always been the top female in the whole region. And so, I really looked up to her, even though I'd never met her. And so we went to a ladies Lake Bash event at Andrew Everhart's house. We were at dinner, and I walked up to her and I was just like, you have no idea how much you inspire me. And I'm crying and giving her a hug. And so we just kind of hit it off immediately whenever we finally met in person. But she's a great producer, a great person inside and out. And I just love her to death. So
awesome.
I just love you. And I think sometimes as women, we only see ourselves, but other people, and I felt blessed when she came up to me, because sometimes we're in our own head, we're in our own space, how we feel as women. And when she came up, I was crying. I was like, oh, it makes an impact, and that wants you to be better for yourself. And being I came into this industry a little later, I wanted to make sure that I soared to heights and worked hard and put my head down and get to know the carriers and know what the underwriting is. And so that blesses me too. So that I love my girl.
One thing that cracks me up the most is that whenever we're together, I'm like 5'11" and she's like 5 foot tall. So we're completely opposite. Her accent's different than mine. She's like this big. I mean, we're complete opposites in so many different ways, but we're also the same. And so that's the thing that I just love the most about our friendship is that we're so different, but we're so alike at the same time.
And I love it.
I think that's one of the great things about this industry too, is when you really find good women in this industry, they want to help you. They want to build you up. They want to cry with you. They want to laugh with you. And it's real easy to find friends, and colleagues and people who you can call may or may not even be your particular line of business.
Yeah.
But when I went to the Nashville event where I met both of you, we got to talk a little bit about our book because it was just getting ready to launch a couple weeks after we were in Nashville. So what I'd love to hear from each of you is just share a little bit about your story and what you hope readers will take away from your chapter. Bev, you want to go first?
Yes, I'll go first. A little bit about my chapter is how I got into this position. I prayed about it, but we're never too late to start a new adventure. I was already successful at my job. I was making great money, but when I listened that I needed to uproot and move, it didn't even take 2 seconds. I did not put my notice in until 3 years later. That's when I got the message. Put my notice in, 2017. My president actually came down and offered me more money. The answer was no. So the new adventure I knew was going to be very rewarding in what I did. I didn't exactly know what it was, but the book is We're Never Too Late. And it was very much an honor and it was freeing. My joke is I can't write a sentence. I wrote a chapter. Hallelujah. And people will inspire. Age doesn't make a difference. Age is not a factor on where we can restart our life. I didn't have a bad life. I had a great life, but now I'm helping the people that I've called to help. And it begins with a new adventure. And I always believe when one door closes, another door opens. And that's how we live our life, and never be sorry if something closes, because there's always a new opportunity coming around the corner.
Right on. Amanda, how about you?
So the biggest thing for me is that I wanted to be able to give women something to help them overcome challenges. I've had my share of challenges, right? I'm a single mom and my whole life crashed down around me in 2020, both professional and personal. So I've had a lot of just restarting and a lot of challenges. And so I wanted to be able to give women something that, lets them know that, hey, maybe this is a blueprint for how I can overcome some of those challenges. And hey, if that girl can do it, then surely I can too. And so I wanted to, just be able to give something to the women in the industry, because the reality is in insurance, it's one challenge after another, right? That's all insurance really is just figuring out how to get around things and learning different aspects of insurance. And so, and how the policies work and all of that. So, I just wanted to be able to give people something and be able to help people overcome challenges.
I think it's so funny because I've always had this idea, like we have several men in our company, and I have this idea, like if he can do it, I definitely can do it, right? So when you said that, I was just kind of smiling in my head because I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. I love women being able to see that another woman can do it, so can you. But for me, it's like the other side too. I talk about in my chapter that we're in an industry of pale, male, and stale. And so, it is really great when you do have those male mentors that can help you. It sounds like you ladies both have that. And I have that too. However, I do know that, women are great in this business because we care so much about other people. So that's really what I want people to take away from our chapters and from our book is how much care went into those 21 chapters, and how each woman has their own individual journey there, but nobody made it there easy. So what we have last but not least is we want to get your information on how people can contact you, and then we're going to go into the lightning round. Lightning round is just like 1 or 2 word answers, and we'll have each of you answer each, but let's get your contact information and how people can reach out to you, and what the best way is for them to learn more about you and what you do. Amanda?
Oh, okay. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. It's Amanda Frendberg, FRENDBERG. On Instagram, I believe it's at Miss Relentless AF. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can follow me there. And are you going to maybe send out like a link with the spelling of our names?
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. And we can can we put my phone number in there too?
Absolutely. We can do that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Or email me at amanda.friendberg@gmail.com.
Okay. And tell us your phone number real quick, so it'll come in the show notes.
Okay. 704-223-3680.
Great. Beverly, how about you? How do we get in touch with you?
Well, you can get in touch with me several ways, but being I told you I'm old school, when I married, we became one. So when I'm not an internet person, so when I married my husband, we became one. So it's actually under his name, but you can cite my name. My name is Beverley with the Ley Crane, Crane. But my Facebook is Keith Crane, and you'll see a little lady in a Packer hat. And my Instagram is keith.crane266. And you can email me at Beverly with the LEYRG at msn.com. And my telephone number is 703-725-6126.
Awesome, ladies. Well, thank you both so much for being here. Allie's going to take it away with the lightning round, and we will. We're just so happy to have you both on.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so
ladies.
much.
It's definitely evident you both have a lot of heart to do what you do. So thank you for sharing your stories. All right. I am going to start our lightning round. These are just short, either 1-word answers or very short sentence answers for the question. So Beverly, what's 1 word to describe your leadership style?
Intentional.
All right. Amanda, 1 word to describe your leadership style.
Inspirational.
All right, we're going with the eyes. What's your go-to productivity hack, Beverly?
Prayer.
Love that. Amanda?
Routines and habits.
Routines and habits. All right, ladies. Coffee or tea? Beverly?
I'm British. It's tea.
With milk or without?
With milk.
How about you, Amanda?
Both. I do coffee in the morning and tea at night.
Nice. All right, Beverly, favorite business book or podcast you recommend?
Unfiltered Voices.
And before that existed.
You can always say Women of Wealth, since that's our podcast.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
Amanda, do you have a favorite book or podcast? Business book or podcast?
So I have this author that I was actually listening to one of his books today. I watched him speak at a event in North Carolina, and so he's got a couple of books out. But the one that I was listening to today was The 4 Factors of Leadership by David. It's David Rendall, and he has a couple of different books. Freak Factor is a really good one. So I really enjoy following that guy. So look him up. Rendall, David Rendall.
I'll have to look that up. Beverly, a money myth you wish would go away forever.
Money is tangible.
Amanda?
You have to be the way your parents were.
All right. If you could sit down and have lunch or tea with any woman of wealth, past or present, who would it be, Beverly?
Madam C.J. Walker, one of the first female safe millionaire, and she was African American.
Beautiful. How about you, Amanda?
Cody Sanchez.
Oh, same with Allie.
Oh, you already knew that.
I already knew that was Allie's answer too.
Love
Awesome.
it.
Well, is there anything else that we didn't cover that either of you just want to get it out there and share that we might have missed?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you for having us on. I really appreciate it. I really, really love this community that we're building with Women Insurance Producers Unfiltered and Unfiltered Voices. I feel like I have some sisters that I never had before, now that the books come out, and we have this bond that's always going to be there. And so Thank you so much for doing that. And shout out to Linda and Yola for creating the group and making all of this happen for us.
Absolutely. Beverly, any last thoughts for you?
Same here. And thank you for having us on the podcast. I feel really blessed that we can speak our voices and know our voices in the book too. But it really just helps other women coming along. As we know in the group, we hear people say, I just got my license. I don't know where to go. And I think we've strengthened them by at least navigate them in the training we have, seeing the other people succeed. And like Amanda said, follow successful people, and success leaves clues. That's what I want to leave with everybody. And thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Have a great afternoon and have a great vacation, Amanda. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hi, ladies.